Ahead on the latest edition of the Tiger Football Report, we'll be joined with the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose, as we break down the Tigers' homecoming win over Elon. Later in the show, we'll discuss how the Tigers plan to handle their next opponent, the 8th-ranked Wildcats of Villanova. Here we go, another edition of the Tiger Football Report starts now. Hello Tiger fans, and welcome into the Towson Sports Network studios for another edition of the Tiger Football Report. I'm the voice of the Tigers, Spiro Marikas, and last week the Tigers offense came alive in the first half as they put up 21 points before halftime behind a balanced offense of passing and rushing. The Tigers then got a little bit of a scare from Elon late in the game, but in the end the defense denied a 2-point conversion and did not allow Elon to recover an onside kick. And when the clock hit triple zeros, it was 21-19 Tigers. And Towson is now on a 2-game win streak, and I know that makes our guest a happy man. Let's welcome in the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. And Coach, that first half, you built up 21 points in the first half offensively. Would you say that was the most efficient your offense had been so far this season?
I would agree that even the small amount of mistakes that we did make, we recovered quickly. And I don't think we've played a half of football offensively with all cylinders clicking like that this year, and that was it was good to see.
You look at the offense, and Darius Victor had another tremendous game. We'll talk about him in the next segment. But a guy who showed up with a couple of touchdowns, someone that I think a lot of the Towson faithful thought was going to have a big year, is sophomore Andre Dessenberg, and his numbers down even from last year, but he came up big on Saturday. What's been the issue with Andre and not putting up the numbers maybe that some expected?
Well, you've heard me mention the sophomore slump from a freshman that plays, and you've seen it firsthand. And he's had to overcome the obstacles of that to get out of his own way. And if you noticed, he's been playing consistently better the last couple of weeks. Coming off the bye week, he kind of got refocused, and then you saw him play better against Delaware, and you saw him play really, really well last week. So we expect this to just keep going.
The catch he made in the corner of the end zone for the 1 touchdown reception was just a thing of beauty.
Well, it was. We had talked about that, so we got a little bit lucky, but really we didn't get a little bit lucky. We're playing to the strengths of our players and the things that they can do. And the one thing Andre can do is go up and get the football. And he makes it look effortless, and he did that again. And it was nice to see him continue that throughout the game. One little piece of success led to a lot more pieces of success, and like I said, that's something that we're going to need if we're going to make this run.
Second half, the offense was unable to score. You were able to move the ball. You put up almost 400 yards of offense in the ball game. What was it that kept you from getting into the end zone or even making a field goal?
Twofold. One, we lost Antonio Harris pretty early, and one more juggling of the offensive line, you can just see immediately what that does. And the other one, and my brother, after evaluating this after the fact, we had talked, and he said, to be honest, he goes, I just got too conservative. He said, I should have kept mixing it up. I was forcing the run, and we could run the ball. But then when we got off track, because we weren't mixing it up, the penalties that took us out of a scoring position time and time again, we weren't good enough to overcome them with a missing part and piece. So it was a combination of keeping the rhythm going and mixing up the pass versus the run, not putting ourselves in a position where we had to throw it. And then, once again, we turned the ball over in the red zone, penalties in the red zone, and did not play as sharp in the second half offensively as we did in the first.
The defense played extremely well in the first half. They gave up a couple of touchdowns in the second half of the ball game. I know I mentioned in the booth that it was almost deja vu of the Maine game last month, where Maine came back and won in the fourth quarter. Did you ever have that sense, or were you pretty confident throughout?
I had the annoying sense of deja vu, but a much greater degree of confidence. And the reason being, they're extremely good throwing the football. They got lots of good weapons. They run their scheme very, very well, but they don't run the ball very well. And when you get into it, if they were to somehow complete that pass and for us to go to overtime, the ability to run the football in overtime, especially extensive overtimes, and of which we have been a part of in the recent past. We were much better suited to get that done, and that confidence kind of carried over. The kids played hard. They played a little bit reckless because of it, and it allowed us to put him in a situation where, despite the fact he was throwing the ball well, he wasn't that comfortable back there, and trying to complete a pass from the 3-yard line when you have 13 yards worth of space and 11 defensive players is not an easy thing to do. So didn't like it, didn't want to be there, but had a pretty good idea we were going to be okay.
Mike Quinn, the quarterback for Elon, throughout the year he's been consistent in putting up yardage. He was 3rd in the CAA in yardage per game coming into the game against Towson. You guys did put a lot of pressure on him. Maybe not as many sacks as you would have liked, but you put him in situations where I guess he was uncomfortable.
Very. A lot of hurried throws. He's a very accurate passer, but you could see when he was out of his comfort zone, if they were completing it, it's because they were diving to catch it. And as long as you can keep a guy like that uncomfortable, your odds of being successful as a defense improve. And we did a good job putting our kids in position to defend the pass game. We did a pretty good job at that, and we pressured him a good bit. What we didn't do, and this is something you hadn't seen from him in the past, is we gave up rush lanes. We over-rushed to pressure him and gave him room to run, which ended up giving 2 long runs by his part, gave them a chance for a field goal at the end of the half with a good kicker. So something that we got to work on.
One area where the defense, I think, has improved through the year, we all know you've got some great defensive linemen, you've got great guys in the secondary. Your linebacker play, especially Eric Handy, he seems week after week to be coming on stronger and stronger.
He does. And it's a laughable conversation with inside the field house of how that happens. And he got forced into play a little bit last year, played a little bit on special teams. Very hard worker, very conscientious, very smart football player. But over the summer, he had a little bit of high school left in him, and that he wasn't always working out, and he wasn't in the best of shape when he came to camp, and he's had to work his way into the shape of which he's playing now. And big joke was, man, imagine how good he would have been if he came into camp ready to go. So it'll be a challenge for him. It's something that I know he's kind of hanging his hat on for the future, and we're excited about. But he's been getting better and better every week in both aspects of the game, run and pass.
Tigers' record has been getting better and better also. 2 straight wins, up to 4-5, 2-3 in the CAA. It's that time that we have to step aside for a quick break, but on the other side of this break, we'll break down, that's a lot of breaks, the Tigers' top performers from a week ago, and later we'll dive into the Tigers' matchup with Villanova. The Tiger Football Report will return right after this.
Virtual Wallet can help you be that person who's good with money. See what's free to spend, move money with a slide, save with a shake. Feel good about your decisions.
Brian Vickers, Aaron's sponsored driver. He doesn't just love racing, he lives it.
He got the paper! Woo!
His pit crew follows him everywhere. Oddly, so does his boss.
Right, sign that. Yeah!
And his passion for racing is rivaled only by his passion for errands.
No credit needed. I'll take it. Woo!
Congrats.
Aaron's makes owning easy through lease ownership, so you can own the life you want.
You'll find it on the sidewalks of Little Italy and on the porches in Catonsville. You can see it when friends meet in Mount Vernon. It's pride. Pride in our city, pride in our people. That's why MedStar Health is building the most accessible healthcare system in the region to look after everyone from Lutherville to Locust Point. So no matter where you go, no matter who you are, you're never far from MedStar.
White Market's ice cream plant is based in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and it's locally owned and operated. We've been making our ice cream for nearly 50 years. We create roughly 70 flavors of ice cream right now. We use local ingredients, especially our cream, which is from our milk plant. The cream is what gives our ice cream a rich and creamy texture. Now, together with our customers, we've created a a product called Peanut Butter Indulgence, which will be coming out this summer. It's a peanut butter ice cream with sea salt caramel swirl, chocolate-covered pretzel. How can you go wrong with that? Personally, I love our ice cream. If you come to our house at any given time, you'll find at least 5 packets of ice cream in our freezer. Our kids grew up eating Wise quality ice cream, and now we get to treat our grandchildren to it. It's been a pleasure for me to be tasting ice cream for over 40 years for Wise Markets, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Marikas, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. And Coach, your sophomore running back played an extremely physical brand of football as he does week after week. Darius Victor rushed for over 150 yards and a touchdown. And even late in the game, looked like Darius was looking for guys to hit to continue to just dish out the punishment. Tell us more and more about this kid.
Well, he played well. I mean, that's a no-brainer. He played well, and he played well all throughout the game. But when it got to the fourth quarter, the frustration was wearing on him. That we'd been down there so many times. We get inside the 10 penalty, 12 penalty, blocked field goal, turnover. And he didn't want to lose. He basically had the attitude of just, please give me the ball. Just, I'll get it. And we would block well enough to get him 4 yards clean, but he would make it an 8-yard run. And it wasn't because he made anybody miss. He wanted to win that game more than anything else in the world. And if it meant running through someone to get it done, well, that was just fine with him. And he continued to do that consistently. Truth be told, I feel bad for the guys that had to tackle him.
Do you worry, though, that over the course of a season that all these hits add up and getting late in the year that maybe Darius won't be able to dish out that much pain to others?
Well, the choice is his. It's not like we're mandating his running style. But he plays to his strengths. And we talk about this thing called bone density, that some people's bones are just a little bit more dense than others. And that it allows them to collide and be the hammer more than the nail. And you will find that in the history of Darius's career, I don't think he's ever not been the hammer. And when you talk about physics and the displacement of energy, when you're the hammer doesn't hurt.
I thought you were an English major.
The nail hurts. I read a lot. So I don't worry about that at all. I worry about the hits that he takes as a running back. I worry about those all the time. And while he doesn't have as many carries as Terrence had a year ago, he doesn't have a Darius Victor yet behind him to be able to. Markel Dickerson is a good football player now, and he's going to be a fantastic ball player. But we're not he's not as good in all aspects of the game as Darius was behind Terrence. So Darius has had to carry more of the load, no pun intended, and I worry about that a little bit. But other than what he does in the game, oh gosh, no. I more worry for the opponents.
We've talked about this several times throughout the year, the fact that you're down to your 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th string fullback. Mm-hmm. How much does that affect your running game?
It's certainly schematically challenging. You talk about going into a gunfight with bullets in your gun, and time after time, the more these kids get injured, the less bullets are in the gun, and then it's more like rocks and sticks, so to speak. But the kids have done a great job. Guys have stepped up and filled part-time roles for needs. Brendan Burney's done a great job. Joe McCargo stepped in. We've affectionately named Malik Johnson Pooh Bear, and he's even got a rep or two in the Delaware game as a big old fullback. So we've made lots of adjustments on the way, and I credit the staff for adapting. I credit the kids for adapting. And it's really not what happens. This is one of the true mantras in here for the kids for the rest of their life, but using football as a tool, is that it's not what happens. You can't ever control what happens. It's how you deal. And if you keep moving forward, you keep positive, and you model resilience through adversity, then that's what they'll do. And you're seeing it right now. It's getting hard. It's getting harder as we go, but you're seeing it right now. And it's kind of heartwarming to know that they have this. It's not a lesson that we're teaching them. It's a lesson that they're learning, hands-on learning. And when they become fathers, when they become employees, when they become husbands, they're going to have this in their back pocket to draw strength from as we go. And how can you not be proud of that?
Speaking of drawing strength from, have you talked at all to the team about the fact that even though the playoffs might be out of reach, that They still have goals they can reach. They can have a winning season. They can have a non-losing season. Is that things that has been discussed or no?
It's been discussed in a very small degree, but I can tell you that if we can find a way to get this done and fit, it's a small thought. It's not a long time thought. When you talk about playing 2 nationally ranked teams in the next 2 weeks, that adds to the win column and your respectability. Let's don't go any farther than that. Let's just worry about winning the next play.
You win this one, you get to 500, and 500 overall and 500 in the CAA. We'll talk about Villanova in a minute. We go back to your offense, and Connor Frazier seems much like you mentioned with Andre Dessenberg. He seems to be getting much more comfortable also in his position at quarterback.
If there was any single player who made the greatest amount of strides shown last week, it was Connor. He did stuff in the pass game that he just haven't done before. Completing the ball over the middle, stepping into throws, long balls, short balls. I would hazard a guess that 10 for 10 at some point has not even been sniffed since we started this season. So watching him grow into his position certainly bodes well for us in the moment and in the future.
And I think, and I don't have the facts and figures in front of me, and I don't know how I could find them, but it seemed like he threw more passes over 15 yards through the air in the Elon game than he had maybe in all the other games combined.
Yeah, we knew we needed to do that based on the front that they were playing. That they were playing 8 and sometimes 9 guys in the box, and they were going to try and take away the run game. And you got to see a little bit of basically what we had done in the past, which was, okay, if this is what you're going to do, then we're going to make you pay for it. And it took them a quarter and a half to figure out how they were even going to begin to stop us. And in the end, I don't really think they did. I think we just stopped ourselves on occasion. And it's good to see the confidence. You got so many guys playing musical chairs on the offensive line, and Connor having to stand behind that, not even who's playing there today. So to see the success offensively, it's a good sign. It shows they're learning, they're growing, and that's what you want to see.
Well, we will find out just how much the Tigers have grown coming up this Saturday as they will take on the 8th-ranked Wildcats of Villanova. And we'll talk about the Wildcats when we come back. Before we go, let's take a look at this week's Tiger Tidbit presented by Under Armour. Did you know that with just 50 yards rushing this week, Darius Victor will become just the 8th Tiger to ever rush for 1,000 yards in a season?
Virtual Wallet can help you be that person who's good with money. See what's free to spend, move money with a slide, save with a shake. Feel good about your decisions.
Brian Vickers, Aaron's sponsored driver. He doesn't just love racing, he lives it.
We got the paper! Woo!
His pit crew follows him everywhere. Oddly, so does his boss.
Red, sign that, sign that. Yeah!
And his passion for racing is rivaled only by his passion for errands.
No credit needed. I'll take it. Woo! Woo!
Congrats.
Aaron's makes owning easy through lease ownership, so you can own the life you want.
You'll find it on the sidewalks of Little Italy and on the porches in Catonsville. You can see it when friends meet in Mount Vernon. It's pride. Pride in our city, pride in our people. That's why MedStar Health is building the most accessible healthcare system in the region to look after everyone from Lutherville to Locust Point. So no matter where you go, no matter who you are, you're never far from MedStar.
White Market's ice cream plant is based in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and it's locally owned and operated. We've been making our ice cream for nearly 50 years. We create roughly 70 flavors of ice cream right now. We use local ingredients, especially our cream, which is from our milk plant. The cream is what gives our ice cream a rich and creamy texture. Now, together with our customers, we've created a product called Peanut Butter Indulgence, which will be coming out this summer. It's a peanut butter ice cream with sea salt caramel swirl, chocolate-covered pretzel. How could you go wrong with that? Personally, I love our ice cream. You come to our house at any given time, you'll find at least 5 packets of ice cream in our freezer. Our kids grew up eating Wise quality ice cream, and now we get to treat our grandchildren to it. It's been a pleasure for me to be tasting ice cream for over 40 years for Wise Markets, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Marikas, alongside with the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. And Coach, the matchup this week can be a bit daunting when you have to watch the film on the Villanova Wildcats and their quarterback, John Robertson. No question, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And I know you don't want to put down anybody else, but as a dual threat, he's got to be the best quarterback that your team will have faced this season.
Knowing that we face Vad down there, Vad's a close second. But John Robertson is a proven difference maker. He's a nationally known entity, and for a reason. And I remember having a conversation with Andy Talley, going, Andy, how much longer are you going to do this? How long do you want to coach? He goes, I don't know. How many years does John Robertson have left? And he's a smart guy. I mean, seriously. And he's tough. Everybody goes, oh, he can't throw. But yeah, he can. He's really good. And you pressure him, he escapes. He's slippery. I haven't seen him take a full-on hit since the day he started taking snaps for them. And that's a skill that you can't teach. He's just slippery. And he knows that offense inside and out. He's a great leader. And he's tough. He's been playing all season with a broken hand. I mean, as a player, you want to play with and for a guy like that. And when you got a guy like that at the helm, your team looks pretty darn good.
I can recall 2 years ago, the Tigers win a shootout here, up there in Villanova, a shootout up there. And after the game, the first thing you said to me was, God, I got to face that guy for 3 more years. And, well, you only have 1 more after this one. But he is a game changer, is he not?
He is. In the history of the league, there are guys that everybody remembers. And there are a lot of good quarterbacks that played in this league. I mean, just look, Joe Flacco. I mean, but you could say the same thing about Grant Enders. I mean, he was amazing. And great running backs, great defensive players. And John, when John's done, whether he goes on to keep playing or not, he's going to be remembered as one of the best players that have ever played quarterback in this league ever.
Yeah, probably the most dynamic player Villanova's had since a guy named Brian Westbrook.
He wasn't bad.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. Now, when you look at Villanova, and obviously they're averaging over 40 points a game, one of your jobs offensively is going to be to keep their offense off the field, correct? What do they present defensively for you guys?
Different scheme. They play a 3-3, which is an odd scheme. West Virginia plays it, but it's a different version of it for Villanova. And they have great team speed all the way around. Their upfront experience in their front line, in their linebacking core, is pretty impressive. And these kids have been playing together for a long time. So they're very good on defense. They're very good on offense, and they're very good on special teams. There's a reason that they were the number 3 team in the country.
They were, yeah.
Until last week, and now they're they're only number 7. So
right.
Now playing at their place on a Saturday night, yeah, it's a daunting task.
I also recall your first year here as the head coach, and Towson played Villanova, and I think that was the day you were down there for warm-ups before the game. That's when you looked around and you were like, those guys look much bigger than my guys. We need to change that.
You're being very nice, though. I said that those guys make our guys look like the JV team. And they did. They were much bigger than we were, and they were much faster than we were, and they had a degree of confidence and toughness that we couldn't even sniff at that time. And a year later when we played them, while the scores wasn't very different, Andy came up to me afterwards and he said, I'm a little bit worried now. He said, things are changing. I said, what are you talking about? He says, trust me, I know what's coming. And he told everybody else in the league, he said, Towson is coming. You better not sleep on him anymore. And it took us 2 years. But he was the guy from the very beginning that said he knew this was coming. And it didn't faze him. He said, it's great for the league. We got one more really good team.
And if you look, that was the day you realized that certain things had to change. You knew things had to change, but you saw it visually that things had to change. Your third season, beating Villanova week 2, I think was the win that kind of propelled your team to say, hey, you know what? We're good.
And not only was it a win, it was a convincing win.
31-10.
And we played smart, we played fast, we played physical, and we kind of ran away with it. And we probably could have scored some more points that day. And that was probably one of the that whole season stuff from the beginning, from the first game on. I think that there was a desire. You know, I stick with guys like Frank Beltre, who stepped up and said that this is going to happen. We go to CAA Media Day, and Frank tells everybody we're going to win the conference championship, and I think it's like the record scratched, and everybody in the room stopped and went, "What?" And he did that on TV. He did it on ESPN. I'm like, "Frank, what are you doing?" He goes, "We're going to win, Coach. Don't worry about it. We're going to win." And lo and behold, he was right.
So then the last 2 seasons, you go up to Villanova and you win a shootout. Last year here at Johnny Unitas Stadium, they win a shootout. They take a big lead, 21-0, the first 10 minutes of the first quarter, because Towson was turning the ball over. You made a valiant effort. You came up short. I mean, these are 2 teams that can put points on the board when they play each other. So do you expect anything different on Saturday?
Not at all. Now, come on, it's us. High entertainment value for your dollar. Does it really matter where we play or who we play? No, I expect this to be a very, very good football game, and I think Andy does too. He knows better than to sleep on us, and our kids have great respect for their team and their program. So no, this is going to be a fun one.
We mentioned their quarterback, John Robinson, then the running back, Manangai. He's a little special himself.
Let me tell you, there's been so many strong backs play in the last couple years in this league that he kind of gets lost in the conversation. Kevin Manangai is a tremendous tailback. And last year they didn't use him a lot. They didn't just use him. But this year, because of injury, they lost some guys, and he's getting more carries. And his strength of game is really, really showing. You're talking about a probable all-conference player there.
When you try to scheme for their offense, how difficult is it? Because they are very quick, multi-dimensional.
Extremely difficult. Not only do they run a multitude of formations, but they have a multitude of tempos. They have skill players galore. And if you put all 3 of those together, if you don't know what you're doing, your head's on a swivel. So our guys have had a great week of study, really trying to break down exactly formationally what the tendencies are, so we have the ability to be aggressive and just not react. We can actually dictate a little bit. And staff's done a really good job with this, and looking forward to see how it pans out.
We all are, and we will have that game for you right here on TowsonTigers.com. We have to take one final break, but we will be back with more of the Tiger Football Report after this.
You know how fast you were going?
Yeah, about 55.
Where are you headed at such an appropriate speed?
Across the country to enhance the nation's most reliable 4G LTE network. How's it working for you?
Better than ever. How'd you do it?
Added cell sites, increased capacity.
And your point is?
So you can download music, games, and directions for the road when you need them.
Who's this guy?
Oh, that's Charlie.
You ever put pepper spray on your burrito? I like it spicy, but not like, ooh, spicy.
You always like this?
You have no idea.
AT&T, the nation's most reliable 4G LTE network.
Mariner Finance is a consumer finance company, so we offer personal loans.
Mariner Finance is a great place to work. It's a great thing for anyone with the entrepreneurial spirit.
Everybody in every office has an opportunity to achieve and grow.
Be your own leader. Be a leader amongst the fellow coworkers in your office.
The training and development that we do at Mariner Finance is one-on-one. Someone who has been there, done it, experienced it.
There is no better feeling.
Learn with us.
Grow with us.
Run with us.
Brian Vickers, Aaron's sponsored driver. He doesn't just love racing, he lives it.
We got the paper! Woo!
His pit crew follows him everywhere. Oddly, so does his boss.
Red, sign that. Yeah!
And his passion for racing is rivaled only by his passion for errands.
No credit needed. I'll take it.
Woo! Congrats.
Aaron's makes owning easy through lease ownership, so you can own the life you want.
This is where the legends live, waiting for someone with better innovation. From the brand that reinvented the t-shirt comes the Under Armour Speedform Apollo. This is our rocket ship.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. Coach, thanks for joining us, and good luck against Villanova this Saturday.
Thank you, sir. Looking forward to it.
As we have mentioned, the Tigers will hit the road for Villanova, Pennsylvania to battle the Wildcats on Saturday at 7 p.m. If you can't make the trip up, Don't worry, because we will have the game for you live and for free right here on the Towson Sports Network, as Hall of Famer Ron Meehan and I will bring you all of the action. Coverage begins on TowsonTigers.com at 6:30 and CBS Sports Radio 1300 AM at 6:45 with the Coors Light countdown to kickoff. That's going to do it for this episode of the Tiger Football Report. For Rob Ambrose, I'm Spiro Marikas. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.